Hello everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com, and don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing. 5 cold feelings on the mind, got you reeling. 5-star ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you get your 1 star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ, all the 1s and 2s. By the name El Sabot, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all with 2. And prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' crew.
What up, nerds? Welcome to another fairy tale episode of Straight Chilling. My name is Bob, and I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 233, recorded on Monday, September 23rd, 2019. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Tigers Are Not Afraid. Before we get into the interview, or the review, rather, let me introduce everyone else on the show tonight. First up, calling in from just outside Chicago, we got our boy Randy Gandy, G. Landy. What's up, Randy?
Oh. Nothing much, man. I'm excited to be here for this interview.
I know, it's going to be great. We're going to be interviewing
Good interviews coming. Yeah, here we go. So what's your favorite Sunday?
My favorite Sunday?
Yeah, what's a good Sunday?
Any given Sunday.
Oh.
As long as I get to take it back, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Last but not least, we got our boy Soju calling in from Southern Korea. What's up, Soju?
What up? It's your boy, Soju. How's it going, boys?
You sound
You kind of ran out of steam there for your own name.
Somber stains.
It's early. I feel like it's so early, and I've already dealt with so much shit already. What's going on?
Damn, dude.
Wow, man.
Moon days.
The moon. Okay. I'm going to resist the urge to ask about that.
Ooh, somebody's prickly this morning. Prickle
Crank
stains
over here.
Oh, my. Poor Germany. Germany's suffered enough, Bob.
Oh, yeah. They certainly have.
Bob's got a German thing going on today, by the way.
Yeah.
YouTube exclusive intro.
Yesterday, this whole weekend was Oktoberfest, like the kickoff for Oktoberfest. So I gotta cash in on it. Yeah.
Bob, there you are.
Here you go. I'm back.
You back.
I am here.
Did you have some wiener schnitzels, Bob?
I did.
Sucking on a chili dog, Bob?
You gotta suck the chili off that dog.
That's the most upsetting line in classic rock history.
The
most. Yeah.
The definitive moment where rock died.
It's either that or only 17, but we don't have to go there. Moving right along, barreling through like a steam train.
Oh, yeah.
On their way to the point.
Like the well-oiled machine that Straight Chilling is. Let's go ahead and roll into some housekeeping.
There's so much oil.
We're just oily. Ooh, so oily. So very oily.
There's a lot to be upset about, I think. Justin, your mood's on point.
Just a quick reminder, our October poll pick is posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're going to review next month. The theme for the month is classic slashers. We've got Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre are up there for you to vote on. Texas Chainsaw is winning just slightly above Nightmare. Friday the 13th sitting at a goose egg. You got a week to vote.
Whoa.
Get your votes in while you can, folks. What else we got?
Battle of the Titans right there.
Yes.
Now you know.
If you didn't know, now you know. So we're going to do something new for the month of October, actually.
We're going to try.
We're going to succeed. No try, only do.
We're going to throw as much oil as we can at this thing.
Oh, yeah. This is just going to be an oily mess, this one.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to, each week for the month of October, so there's going to be we're going to raffle off a movie bundle. And in order to be able to participate in this raffle, you got to support us on Patreon, any level. So if you're on there, you're automatically entered. And each week, we're going to be drawing a random name to win some movies, and we're going to mail those to you. You're only going to be able to win 1 week, so if you win in week 1, we're going to pull your name and give other people a chance to win the other 3 weeks. But it's definitely going to be worth your while. I've got some fun little packages that I'm going to be sending out your way. So if you want a chance,
Letter bombs.
it's definitely not that.
God damn.
Definitely not that. So if you want to join in on the problem that I have and start building your Blu-ray collection, support us on Patreon. Maybe you'll win some movies. Yep.
Bob's
I'm
going
spreading
on
the
to-
Sending out a
disease, baby.
taster.
Bob's going through the give a penny, take a penny level of his DVD addiction.
Yep. Here we go. Hey, Juice, we got any YouTube or Twitch news?
Yeah, we are still playing through the game of the month, Dead by Daylight. You can watch us play live on twitch.tv/Straight Chilling Podcast. If you subscribe and you have like the app on your phone, if you like to watch other Twitch streamers, it'll actually let you know when we are going live. So it'll give you like a little notification. And it's pretty fun. It's like one of those slashers where you can play, or one of those games where you can either play like a slasher or like an escapee or whatever. So it's got like 2 sides to it. So we've been enjoying that with some of our friends and #HardWithUs squad.
So hard.
And also got a new video game review up for Layers of Fear, our game from June. And it's really fun. It's was like a really scary game that I really enjoyed playing through. And I've got some gameplay footage included in that review as well. So if you want to check that out, it's up on YouTube as well. And I've got a new video game dropping this week for Friday the 13th, the game we've been playing with the squad a lot. We enjoyed that this summer and a little extra as well. So I'll be dropping that. You can check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/Straight Chillin' Podcast.
Hell yeah. Randy, you've got some news to share, don't you? You were featured on another podcast this week.
Yeah, it's What to Expect When You're Expecting podcast. And no, I was invited graciously onto the Horrorphoria podcast after we bitched and complained about you being a Hollywood piece of shit and getting all the interviews.
Hollywood Randy.
And the boys came through for us and they invited me on. So I did a little review with them of Let the Right One In. And I did it, if you can believe this, without cursing. So if you want to see, see the rarest bird of all, you go listen to the Horrorphoria podcast where I am very non-explicit.
Good job. I actually listened to that episode. I didn't notice that you weren't swearing, but you did.
I know. I conceal it well. I'm a fucking master.
Did this right, Randy. You should be a politician. You like
the FCC won't let me be something. See, they try to shut me down on MTV. All that.
Old spaghetti stains over here.
Randy's got that charm where he just like strolls into a new environment, but he fits right in, and you're like, oh, this is kind of the guy I know, but also he's somebody different.
It's like it's almost as if you didn't know me in high school. That sentence should not have come out of your mouth.
Oh, Randy.
Randy's a chameleon. Oh, chameleon Randy.
Check him out, Horrorphoria.
Yeah,
it was a good episode. Good job, Randy.
Well done, sir. The last bit of housekeeping we have to tackle here. Old Anthony from Something Ghoulish hit me up, and he's teaming up with The Effective Nerd, which is another YouTube creator, and they're teaming up together for the month of October to help kind of shine spotlights on indie horror creators. Each day of the month, they're going to have like a different creator highlighted, and they're going to try and get some new eyes on whatever it is they're creating, whether it be a podcast or, if you're an artist, painter, sculptor, whatever. If you make movies, you write books, short stories, whatever it is that you do, if it's horror related, go ahead and reach out to them and let them know you're interested in having them do a spotlight on you for the month of October. You can send them an email to effectivenerd@gmail.com. That's spelled exactly how it's supposed to be spelled. There's no like random Z's in there or anything. Shoot them an email.
Oh, thank God.
And let them know you are interested. And
that's so great that Anthony from Something Ghoulish is doing that.
He is.
That Anthony from Something Ghoulish is spotlighting indie filmmakers.
He's a good man.
Good for Andy from Something Ghoulish.
Nope, his name's not Andy.
Oh, what? Wait, hold on.
How did you say it right 2 or 3 times and then randomly?
I was not on board with the bit to begin with, but we're going through some stuff now.
Yeah, it's a bad bit. Oh, yeah. Let's continue with this show and get into what we've been watching this week.
Hey, gang.
I gotta say, it's the German accent is
out so strong, but the more words that you add, it just like slurs into this indistinguishable accent.
I'm not good at accents.
I gotta tell you, man, it's a pretty good shellac for a bad bit, though. You just kind of paved right over that.
Thanks.
As long as you're sticking to the oohs, like you're okay.
Yeah,
the more
honestly, it's like an open parentheses and a closed parentheses. That ooh.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
Oh, the ya. I'm sorry. The ya is the period, of course.
The further away it gets from the ooh, the worse it gets until the ya comes in. The ya just wraps it all up.
Like real German.
Oh. I always sleep better with a little bit of sausage in me. Randy, what you been watching?
Well,
why?
Just gonna roll past that.
It's from Beer Fest.
Did we even do the what you watching like intro?
Yeah,
we did. Okay, good. Okay, so I watched a few things this week. I got to see a Broadway production of The Color Purple yesterday, which I've never seen the movie. I didn't see the play ever before. It was really great. Some of the fucking vocalists in that shit were awesome. So I did that. Obviously, I watched Let the Right One In for the Horror Forward podcast. I've been listening to this true crime podcast, which is picking up steam, I think, or maybe I'm late to the party. I don't know. The Red Handed podcast, where these two English ladies are just dissecting individual stories each week. And they are such a delight to listen to because they're extremely crass and they are very open with their opinions of people. And they're like, what an idiot. What a fucking idiot. Like, I can't do the accent, but like, they'll just like shit all over somebody if they're being stupid, and that it's great.
They need a guest spot soju stain.
They specifically, I was listening today to an episode about Ian Watkins from Lost Prophets, where they were talking about that whole thing.
It's a huge piece of shit.
Like maybe the biggest piece of shit. Like I did not know the extent of all of that because I was never a Lost Prophets
learning about it because it sounds way too bummer. I don't want to.
Honestly, dude, I don't blame you. And like they specifically are like, yeah, usually we go into grim detail about everything, but we don't want to this time because it's too grim. So yeah. Anyway, it's a great podcast, and it's a terrible event that they're talking about. So I did that, and then watched a bunch of like dumb, creepy YouTube videos with the boys on Slack. Hyderberg showed me one called "Possibly in Michigan," and that song, which I loved, by the way. It's like this crazy like. I don't know if it's actually made in the 80s or just a 80s pastiche of these women walking in a mall being chased by a dude in a like ridiculous mask who wants to eat them. And there's like a song, everything is sung. It's really bizarre, and it creeped me out a little bit. But more than that, the song got stuck in my head for about 3 straight days. So check that out if you want to have a weird atonal horror 80s song stuck in your head for multiple days.
Cool.
Possibly in Michigan. It's great. There you go.
Nice. Juice, what you been watching?
Dude, full spooky season. I watched Return of the Living Dead. I had to.
Nice.
It was just like pulling on me. I was just like, oh, I gotta get it. And there's a couple of them that like are doing that. I'm like specifically waiting. I don't know why. Sometimes I just regulate myself. But October 1st, dude, I'm starting Over the Garden Wall.
Yep.
And I gotta watch Ghost Watch, and like there's just like I don't know why I'm waiting for the first to drop, but I am. But there's a couple of them that I was like, okay, Return of the Living Dead, I'll go ahead and work that one in. And so I'm just like I'm so excited. It's like full on fall season, first day of fall and everything, and I'm loving it. Oh my gosh, it's great.
It is great. I have not been regulating
Bob,
myself.
hey, I feel bad. Bob.
Oh.
Why have you been watching this?
Hey, thanks for asking, man. Let me tell you.
No problem.
No one cares.
I went full into it, like it being the official like kickoff of fall season and Oktoberfest, and it's actually starting to feel kind of cool. I watched Trick or Treat. I watched some of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes. I watched some of the Roseanne Halloween special episodes. I watched the last two episodes of Over the Garden Wall because I love
the last two.
The
last two?
Yeah, just the last two.
Just the last two? Oh,
Not a purist. All right. We know where you stand.
I watched...
Got a lot of DVDs to burn through.
It's true. It's a lot. I watched Lady in White for the first time, which is... The first half is like pretty Halloween-centric, and then it actually... it goes through November and December, and it gets like Christmassy, and I was like, no, too soon. No. But it's a pretty good
kryptonite.
movie. It's like definitely a kid's movie, but it deals with like heavy stuff, like losing family members and like just like abuse and grief and just like heavy stuff. And I wasn't expecting it at all, especially the way it starts off. It's like very kiddie, but I liked it. It like I said, the first half is super Halloween centric, but it kind of leaves that after a while. I also watched John Carpenter's Vampires, which was just released by Scream Factory on Blu-ray. I'd never seen that all the way through before, and I really enjoyed it. It's like an action vampire movie. It's silly, but it's supposed to be. It's got some decent gore gags. It's got a lot of vampires just bursting into flames in it. If you want a good like action vampire movie, check that out. Also, I was watching the bonus features on it. And Carpenter did a new interview where he's talking about the movie, and during the interview, he definitely lets a fart rip. I thought that shit was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it killed me.
That's we call a Carpenter bomb.
I see what you did there. Also, I've been watching some of this show called Succession on HBO. It's got Brian Cox.
Brian Cox?
Yeah. And it's super good.
I've heard that it's very good.
Really dig it. The second season is currently airing.
Is it really?
Yeah, I shotgunned the first season and was like so sold on it. It's also got Kieran Culkin. I think that's his first name. It's got a Culkin in it. Oh, I think his first name is Kieran.
The one from Lords of Chaos?
No, that was Rory.
Rory.
So this is another one. But
how many Culkins are there in the world?
I don't know. Enough to make a Megazord.
Three, I guess. Yeah, they all look similar. It's crazy. Like you just, even if you didn't know it was a Culkin, you'd look at it and be like, "That's a fucking Culkin." Like you can just tell.
Yeah, they do look similar.
But yeah, that's like
got these eyes.
You just the devil's eyes. You can't trust him. You just can't.
The Culkin's eyes.
Somebody over there give me a Culkin eye.
His character is my favorite in the show. He's just a total wise ass piece of shit. He cracks me up. Yeah, check that out. It's just like a drama. It's a straight up drama. Lots of backstabbing. Good shit. Good shit. About a twisted family, twisted rich family. Can't.
America wouldn't know anything about such a thing.
I know. Wouldn't know anything about it. Yeah, that's all. That's what I've been watching. That's all I got. So let's go ahead and get into the main event here. And we're talking about Tigers Are Not Afraid. Let's kick it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Tigers Are Not Afraid. So this movie technically was released in 2017, but it didn't get a wide release until just this past week on Shudder. It was making like the festival rounds and stuff, so you could like see it if you made a trip out somewhere to see it. But for the vast majority of people, weren't able to see it until this past week. So it's directed by Issa Lopez, who's been getting praised pretty heavily by Guillermo del Toro. She's another Mexican filmmaker. But the plot synopsis is as follows. A dark fairy tale about a gang of 5 children trying to survive the horrific violence of the cartels and the ghosts created every day by the drug war in Mexico. So that's what we're talking about. Were you guys familiar with this? Were you looking forward to seeing it? Would you recommend people check it out? Randy, why don't you kick us off?
I was not familiar with this until I saw a promotion for Shudder bringing it to their service. And I think we talked about it briefly. And I just started hearing like rumblings from American audiences that because of that it was like a great fucking movie. So I was really interested because of that. And I would say, yeah, I'd recommend it. It's like bleak in a lot of ways, but not the least of which is just purely the setting, like you just described, like the just what makes up that world that they're building a story out of. But man, some of the kid actors, like all the kid actors in this movie, are fucking great. So if only to see like a pretty good fucking horror movie with some strong child actors, I think it's pretty great. Cool. I think it's worth your time.
Juice, what about you?
I wasn't familiar with this at all, really, but I would recommend. It was good. It is bleak, but also I think it just there's a lot of good elements in it that, like, ironically enough, help you cope with the bleakness of the movie in general. And I think it's really just a well-crafted film just in general. So yeah, I definitely recommend.
Cool. Yeah, I've been hearing rumblings about this movie for quite some time now, and I'm happy to finally be able to watch it. Shudder yet again comes through, releasing awesome stuff. I would recommend the hell out of this movie. I thought it was pretty solid. And if you're familiar with Del Toro's earlier movies, his Spanish language movies, and you like those, then I feel like you'll definitely enjoy this.
Definitely.
Yeah. So check it out. It's on Shudder. And yeah, let's go ahead and drop that spoiler warning, and we'll get into the rest of the movie. Here we go.
Spoiler warning.
All right. So I pulled up some stuff on Wikipedia because I wanted to sort of like put this movie into context, I guess. Like when it first opens up, it gives you some statistics about like how many people had died over like the Mexican war on drugs, and like how many kids died or were basically just gone missing. And it's an astounding number. It's shocking. But like this, I got a couple paragraphs there that come from Wikipedia. But the Mexican drug war, also known as Mexican War on Drugs, is an ongoing asymmetric, low-intensity conflict between the Mexican government and various drug trafficking syndicates. When the Mexican military began to intervene in 2006, the government's principal goal was to reduce drug-related violence. The Mexican government has asserted that their primary focus is on dismantling the powerful drug cartels rather than on preventing drug trafficking and demand, which is left to the U.S. Although Mexican drug trafficking organizations have existed for several decades, their influence increased after the demise of the Colombian Cali and Medellin cartels in the 1990s. Mexican drug cartels now dominate the wholesale illicit drug market, and in 2007 controlled 90% of the cocaine entering the United States. Arrests of key cartel leaders, particularly in Tijuana and Gulf cartels, have led to increasing drug violence as cartels fight for control of trafficking routes into the United States. And the official death toll of the Mexican drug war is at least 60,000, but several estimates set the death toll above 120,000 killed by 2013, and there's another 27,000 that have gone missing. So it's a pretty staggering number, and that's kind of just what is happening around our little story in this movie. So. Yeah, we've got these kids, these 4 little boys and a little girl, and their families have been, either murdered or they've just their parents have just sort of gone missing by way of this drug war, and they kind of band together, and they're dealing with like these very real life horrific things. And there are elements of like this dark fairy tale world that sort of creep in. And it's sort of like their way of interpreting these horrific things that are happening to them and their families. And it's sort of a coping mechanism that they use. I guess to kind of like summarize generally what all is happening.
It's very, very reminiscent of Pan's Labyrinth. I mean, not so much in like visual style, but in terms of like the way the playing off of kids' interpretation of horrific events by using fairy tale logic and visuals to some extent.
The Devil's Backbone too, if you've seen that.
I haven't seen that one,
it's
but
more of a ghost story, and it's all about orphaned children too. It's similar to this.
So another it's a kid-led story with adult antagonist, several, and like some fantastical elements, but really. I don't know. We can get into that in a minute, I guess. But Juice, what were you going to say?
I was going to say the funny thing about it is this movie made me think of two movies essentially just mashed together. And it was two movies that we all watched together. We took a class when we were
talking about City of God, aren't you?
Yeah, it essentially to me was like Pan's Labyrinth and City of God like mashed together. And like those were two of the movies that we watched in we took a course all together about what like
The Lost Child.
The Lost Child and stuff like that. So it was funny to me because like as soon as like I got into it, I was like, oh my God, this is those two movies, which I love both of those movies. So it was like interesting to see like that kind of take on it because it really is like it follows not like City of God kind of follows like a longer progression of like the city as it's infested, whereas this like focuses more on the kids, but it's very like the same style element because like one of the first opening scenes is one of our main characters, Shine. He's one of the boys who kind of like leads the little gang of kids, and they're all like, I mean, the oldest one is probably like 8, maybe.
Yeah,
like they're
like that.
I think really young.
Yeah. 8 to 10.
And with the youngest being like, I don't know, 4 or 5.
Very small.
He essentially just steals like a gun from this guy who's one of the kind of the gang leaders or whatever, one of the adults. He's drunk and he's taking a leak one night, and Shine just like steals his phone and gun off of him or whatever. And it just like immediately made me think of like City of God, like the kids running around with guns. They literally have no parents. They're sleeping on rooftops and like old, washers and dryers.
They're hunted. They're literally hunted by these cartel members. Not just for the phone, but certainly amped up because of the phone.
Also,
we find out
that grown man was taking a leak in an alleyway, and he dropped his pants clean to the ground. Who does that?
Yes, he did. I mean, somebody that inebriated. It looked like
maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he dropped his wallet and like almost his gun as well. So
I think the thing about this thing though is it essentially, and it says at the beginning, it's like a lot of these places just become ghost towns. Like they're literally like run by these like drug leaders, and they do whatever they want. Where they're literally just go to a house, pick somebody up, and they're gone forever. There's so it essentially just becomes like, well, that house is abandoned. The school gets shut down because it gets like shot up or whatever.
Yeah.
They literally just cancel school. So it's like. And I think it's such an interesting movie because like getting that perspective, like being like, oh shit, like they're just entire towns that just become nothing because all the people are killed or picked up, and whoever's left like wants to get the fuck out of there as soon as possible. Like I don't know, it's crazy.
There's an early scene in the movie where the little girl who's sort of like our main character, her name is Estrella. Yeah.
Estrella.
She's in her class, and the school there's a shooting that happens right outside, and everybody kind of hits the deck, and her teacher gives her 3 pieces of chalk, and they're in the middle of like writing their own little fairy tales. It's like that's the lecture for the day, and they all hit the ground. She gives her the 3 pieces of chalk, and she says each one is like a wish. She has 3 wishes, and she's telling this little girl this to try and keep her mind off what's happening and keep her calm and engaged. And so she walks home after school is closed, and the shooting, there's like a body that's covered up laying right outside the school, and there's a blood trail that just starts following her on the way home, and that's sort of like a reoccurring theme throughout the movie. And I thought it was like an effective visual. It's like literally showing like the horror that's following these kids around. The blood trail is literally following these kids around.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. And like, honestly, just in terms of like CGI graphics and things like that, this movie does pretty well, I think, overall. Like I don't like, none of it is as strikingly visual as like Pan's Labyrinth, because Del Toro's got his very specific style that's so unique. But I mean, that said, for the limited, amount of that stuff that they include, I think they do a really fucking good job with it. There's some specters and some ghosts later on. There's some like moving graffiti, which is really cool.
I was
looking.
gonna say, that was my favorite thing, and I think that was a smart choice because too, I'm assuming that you like kind of compared to Del Toro, but like I think it's working like with what you've got too. I assume this was like a lower budget and stuff like that. So being able to say like, well, how can we use that and make your own style too? The graffiti was awesome because graffiti's supposed to look simplistic, like. You don't have to make it look crazy. Like you want it to look basic because that's what graffiti looks like. So when it's just like, this outline tiger on a wall, but you animate it, that looks like fucking cool. And it's easier. It's like, it's easier to pull off than trying to make something realistic or scary or something like that, where some people fail,
It's true. And I mean, and that's like just kind of a storytelling device throughout. That doesn't actually play out in any real way. Like it doesn't have any effect on the story except just what we take from it. Like it has no direct impact on events.
Symbolic.
But
right,
exactly. The symbology is there. And there's a lot of that in there. Like you said, the blood trail chases the kid home, and then like her mom has disappeared, which I guess we should get back to the synopsis here, but her mom has disappeared and she's kind of camped out at her house hoping that her mom will come back.
That's her first wish, is that she wants her mom to come home.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about this movie that turns it into kind of like a horror movie too. You have a bunch of different elements, but it's like a monkey paw type of thing. It's like every time she does make a wish, it actually ends up like kind of negative. So she does get her wish and it does serve her, but also in a negative way. So I like that kind of take on it because her mom comes back, but every time we see her mom, in the girl's mind, like the mom comes back, but she's always like, she's still dead. So it's like, I wish my dead mom would come back. And it's like, she's dead. She like speaks to her and she tells her to do things.
But she's also terrifying. So she's not spending a lot of time with her either.
Scary.
So. She's dead. And her voice is just raspy and like,
because she's had her throat cut, I think.
So that's kind of a cool element of the wishes. It's like, she can wish for something, but every time it just like turns out really bad.
Right. That whole thing is like interesting because I mean it's that same, this is another reason why it's a Pan's Labyrinth thing all over again, but like are these things actually happening or not? Are these paranormal things happening or not? And the first two wishes could easily be in her mind. The blood trail could be in her mind, but she's not really paying attention to it right away. And then, but the end of the movie kind of gets to a point where it's, I don't know, like, cause it makes kind of a strong argument that it's all actually happening the way that we're being presented with it. So I don't know. Like, what do you guys think about that?
No, I think it's all, it's either just meant to be symbolic and like only for the audience's eyes, or it's how the children are perceiving and coping with the things that are happening around them. I don't think any of it's really happening at all.
Yeah, I took it as a symbolic like coping mechanism, especially tied in. Like that's what I was saying too, because not only do you have like the fairy tale aspect, you also have that general, which I guess in itself is kind of a separate fairy tale that they tell about the tiger. And with the girl going through the ends, I don't really want to get into the ending, but the way the movie ends, like with the girl going through the door and it's like a paradise, it's like, obviously that's not. So it really is just her way of like her, like seeing this terrible world around her. And the other kids have a similar thing in the way that they tell the story about the tiger. Like that's kind of their fairy tale, is like Shine tells a story about what there was like a man, a rich man, and he like owned all these exotic animals, but then the drug cartel came to kill him and they were killing all his animals too. But the tiger escaped from his cage and now he just kind of like roams the thing. But the thing is like the tiger's not afraid anymore. He's been through all like the bad shit and now he can just live his life and nothing can like harm him, I guess, because he's been through it all.
Yeah, he's no longer
because he's a
afraid
badass,
'cause
basically.
He's uncaged, and that's Shine's mantra throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is there's more to be built on that because, and I don't remember the exact saying, or like I know that they had a discussion where they were talking about the kids, her and Shine, Estrella and Shine, were talking, I think, and part of the story about like what was it? It's like something about love. What was the line that she kept using? It was like the last line of the movie. Do you guys remember this? I'm struggling with it now.
About love?
Yeah, it's like
I know she says something along the lines of like they need to remember
tigers can't.
The kids are princes and they are kings and they are tigers, and tigers are not afraid because they have like a moment towards the end where Shine says, you know, there are no tigers, there are no wishes, there's only us, and she kind of like counteracts that in the very last scene of the movie.
It's all of that, and it's like that is part of it. I think it's like the symbolism that I took from that was that, you know, Shine was able to survive because he took up the mantra of the tiger, but she has the potential to thrive because she has that in her now. She can like become a tiger, but she has to remember to be a princess as well, or a prince. Yeah, well, and that to me entails
to be
like
clear, Shine,
mercy and
Shine exists. He survives to a point. He doesn't make it all the way.
Well, no, but he allows it. Yeah, that's true. It allows him to. I mean,
to muscle
survive
through.
as long as he does. It's the thing is like his survival is like dependent entirely on that mantra, but that mantra only took him so far.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas Estrella is able to add to that and say like, look, you need to be both. You need to both be a tiger and be able to protect yourself, and also be a prince or a princess and be able to, you know, speak with wisdom or whatever. I forget the phrasing. I'm gonna have to try and find it. But
well, and that's because I forgot. Honestly, it opens. There's like several stories that go on. So we told the one about the guy who has the tiger and the tiger escapes from the cage, and that essentially is kind of like Shine, I guess. But it also serves as like, oh, there's a tiger roaming through the street. So it's another coping mechanism for them to deal with like people just disappearing out of their town, literally just getting snatched up because they say like, oh, the tiger, he eats kids and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's another thing. But there's another story which I completely forgot about a prince who wants to be a tiger, and I think that's what I was going for. Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of how it like sets up this maybe dichotomy between the characters, where the prince wants to be a tiger, but what he becomes a tiger, but he forgets how to be a prince or something.
Exactly.
Like that.
And that's Shine.
Like,
Shine is to stand in for that, because Shine is becoming the tiger that hunts people. He's becoming the person who can kill, because he has to some degree, to kill cartel members as a form of protection. He almost, but doesn't quite, kill one of the enforcers right at the beginning, the guy who was taking a piss, just out of pragmatism.
However you say
it. Yeah, just out of because he's a threat, and that's what a tiger would do. But at that point, he hadn't devolved fully into survivalism at its pure form.
There's more of a reason for him to want to kill that guy, which we find out a little bit later in the movie when he steals his phone and he sees pictures of his mom on the dude's phone, and that like enrages him even more. And there's a certain part in the scene where Australia first comes upon the squad of the boys, and Shine like gives her an ultimatum. He's like, you take this gun and you go kill Kako, or however you say his name, and if you do that, you can stay with the gang, and if you can't do that, then you're out. You can't hang with us anymore. So she takes the gun, she goes in there, she finds that he's actually already been killed, but there's a snake on the handle of the gun that she's holding, that she visualizes that it comes off the handle and goes down her arm, and she kind of screams, drops the gun, it fires, and she runs out.
Well, she doesn't know yet. Yeah, so she's in the house and she sees that he's on the couch, but she makes her wish.
Right.
That I wish I didn't actually have to kill this person, and then she visualizes it. So the whole thing is like, oh, that was my wish, and it turns out he's dead. But now then she gets blamed for his murder. And then so
she takes it too.
Hunted. Yeah. So at the same time, the negative aspect of that wish is like, the first one is, I wish my mom come back. She comes back, she's dead. The second one is, I wish I didn't have to kill this guy. And it's like, he's technically already dead, but she gets all the blame for it.
Yeah.
She gets blamed, and it's like, it's that weird thing where she both takes credit for it in order to get into this gang and survive, but it also puts a target on her back, which is again, sort of like, that's sort of the negative aspect of being, becoming what's hunting them, basically. which is these cartel members, these things that have taken their families away from them. Do they want to become that too, just to survive, or do they need to, adapt another form?
Yeah. So they're kind of on the run after that, and they have to like move camps, and they find a new house, and you see like ad campaigns for this character called, I think El Chino was the character's name.
El Chino, yeah.
He's like running for office. I don't even know if it's like mayor or whatever it is. But come to find out, like he is sort of like the head of the cartel, and he's the one that actually killed Coco, and he wants that phone back. So now he's sort of like the big bad, and he's trying to find
a video of him killing actually Australia's mom.
Right. Yeah. So he wants that phone back because it's got damning evidence of him murdering a woman.
Yeah.
Not that damning, we find out though, because is it her or is it Shine that takes it to a police officer and is like, look at this, and they're like, is that El Chino? Fuck this.
No, it's some of the other boys.
Oh, yeah, it was the two other kids. That's right.
The two other boys.
Yeah, the other boys are
after
Tuxie,
one of them
Pops
dies.
and Moro. Yeah, Moro is the little boy that
Tuxie.
dies.
Moro is?
Yeah. I think he's the youngest one, and he's the one that doesn't talk. Apparently, he had seen something so horrible that he doesn't speak anymore, which is like.
But he's also like really little. He legit might be like 4
he's tiny.
5.
Yeah, he's the littlest one. But yeah, the cartel like find the kid's new hideout, and they have like a gunfight, and they actually kill Moro, and the kids kill one of these cartel members and injure another one, and they get out of there, and they have to like bury their friend, which is like super sad, like crazy sad. Oh man.
Yeah.
It's a tough movie.
Rough.
It's a tough movie.
Well, I was going to say right after the one dude dies, another like tough aspect of it is you have all these like fantastical elements, and then you have these horror elements, but also just like the reality of it. So in like the dude's house, he's just keeping these kids that he picked up in cages, and they're just like human traffickers as well as like drug cartel. And not only that, but they let them out, and their first instinct is like, oh, they have like an older brother who's just in another gang. And so they go see their older brother, who's like older, but he's still like, I don't know, 13 or 14.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still like an adult.
Young teenager.
So they go to this other gang, and like his gang won't even let him accept his brothers. Like their parents are dead. They're literally just roaming the street. And he's like, oh, my brother, these are my brothers. And they're like, no, they were taken by the cartel. Like they're marked. Like if you accept them, then we're a mark. So literally these kids are just like hunted for the phone. They're hunted because of the death of that dude who they think the girl did it. And they're just hunted in general. Like just these like 8-year-old kids are like literally being hunted by a drug cartel like throughout the whole movie. And not just them, but all of the kids like literally living under a bridge and saying like, nope, we're not going to accept this. Like, 9 and 7-year-old who are your brothers, because then we'll just get killed too. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, they devolve into tribalism of their own, exactly mirroring the sort of callousness of the cartels. So that's the thing, is like everything is sort of like funneling these kids towards a life of like extreme violence. It's already there, really, but like towards them committing acts of extreme violence, and sort of like the I guess if there's a moral lesson here to be taken, it's like challenge, like surviving adversity, but maintaining decency of some kind, and not becoming
or
that
humanity.
Which humanity. That's probably more broad.
Yeah, like don't lose sight of the prince, which is essentially just like the person. It's like the prince forgets how it's like he becomes a hunting animal. He becomes like wild, ravenous.
Yeah, if you're all operating purely on instinct, then you might reject your brothers. You might, shoot a guy just to get into a club. Like you might do any number of things. So
the craziest thing about this movie is like all of these things we're talking about would be in like so damn impossible to digest and like just handle as an adult. And then you've got these kids that are so little trying to do that. It's crazy that that's a reality anywhere in the world. And it's very sad. And it's, I don't know, man,
Yeah.
puts things in perspective.
She literally like is like forced to kill a man, or like she's willing to go kill somebody so she can hang out with this group of 8-year-olds so that they'll feed her ramen noodles. I mean, that's what they eat. They just steal shit out of people's houses, and it's just like a can of beans or like ramen noodles. And her whole thing is just like, I'm hungry. Like, can you guys feed me? Like, she's like,
starving.
that's why she goes to them. She just hangs out at her house until she's like, I'm like really hungry. Like,
if all you're doing is hunting for a meal, then you're like, what point do you stop being human? Like,
yeah.
So the sort of like the climax of the story, after Moro gets shot and killed, the kids call El Chino on the phone that they had stolen, and they sort of make a deal with him that if El Chino makes the rest of the Huascas go away, they're like chasing these kids, that they will give him the phone. So they decide to meet the following morning at this place that Chino tells them where it is. So the kids go there, and it
or something.
Yeah, it turns out to be where he has been torturing and murdering his kidnapped victims.
Dumping
like that's
all his bodies.
Yeah, that's where he does his dirty work. So they go there to meet him, and Shine gives him the phone, and as soon as he gives him the phone, he asks for the code to unlock it so he can get in and make sure it's got all, basically make sure it's the right phone. And Shine says he doesn't know the code. So he says, okay, drops the phone on the ground, stomps on it, breaks it, and he shoots the Huascas that are there, like just murders them in cold blood, no sweat. And then he tells the kids, deal's a deal, get out of here. So the kids haul some ass. And at that point, Shine tells Australia that he swapped the phones, and he kept the phone with the footage on it. And that's where Australia finally watches the footage of her mother being killed. And her mom has this bracelet that's made of birds, and that's sort of how you know for sure it's her. She notices the bracelet. And that's when Shine says, there are no wishes, there's no tigers, it's just us kids. And she uses her final wish to make the scar on his face go away, and that's when he gets shot and killed.
In the face.
Yeah.
And then it's
and he's already that wish. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking, man. Like, so he's got like this burn on his face on one side from the house fire that murdered his parents, and like
it was caused by these same guys,
caused by these same dudes who just got killed, but not by the boss too. And her last wish, her monkey's paw last wish, is that his face goes back to normal or whatever it was. And,
because he asked her for that earlier in the movie.
He does. And she's like,
wish this. And she's like, no, every time I make a wish, it like turns out bad. Right. So the whole thing is he's like, there's no wishes. It doesn't exist. And so she does. She's like, I wish for like your scar to disappear, what he asked for. And then a second later, the dude shoots him in the side of the head. Like, and
right
he's dead.
In the scar just blasts off the side of his face. Like, it's horrific. And
from just to try and get to the tail end of the movie, then we can talk about everything. From there, it's kind of just like a showdown between Australia and El Chino. He's chasing her around this complex, and throughout the movie, we've seen this like tiger teddy bear that sort of like comes to life and walks around and helps the kids out. So she sees the teddy bear, and it gives her.
It was the kids, wasn't Moro's.
More okay, yeah. So the teddy bear gives her a lighter and kind of shows her this air duct, and she takes the vent off of it and crawls down it. And Chino sees her like fall down it, and she falls into the room where I guess they've been dumping all of the bodies, and she falls in there, and it smells terrible, and she finds her mom's body. She takes the bracelet off, the birds like fly off of her mom's wrist onto hers, which isn't really what happened. She, takes the bracelet off and puts it on herself. And she's able to trick Chino into running into that room, and she closes the door and locks it, and he's stuck in there with all the bodies. And they sort of like come to life and start terrorizing him. And all the bodies are like wrapped up in these plastic sheets, and they're bloody, and they look scary as shit. They're simple. They're very effective. And then she sees Shine's ghost, and he takes the lighter from her, and I guess there's another door that has like a biohazard symbol on it, and he like lights that on fire, and the whole place goes up in flames.
I think it's a flammable sign.
Is that it? Yeah. So he lights some stuff on fire. She turns around.
Yes, he does.
She turns around and sees an actual tiger. Like, I mean, she visualizes a tiger, and the tiger is just kind of chilling out, and then it walks out these huge doors that open up into this like beautiful grassy field, and it looks like, you know, some sort of paradise, and she follows it out into the field. And that's kind of when she says she needs to remember that, you know, they are princes and kings and tigers are not afraid. And that's sort of the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Heavy shit. Hell of an ending, man.
Yeah, man.
It's a gut punch.
It's so this movie does such an interesting job of just weaving those supernatural elements in, but leaving them like oblique enough, like very oblique, to where you're like, I don't know where this could go exactly. Like, are the ghosts going to attack them? And that's what she imagines happens. Mm-hmm. But I guess she lights them on fire herself. I mean, that's kind of the question mark a little bit. I mean, I think your guys are almost certainly right that it's like her visualization, but there was a little doubt for me there, because it's like, well, how does she have this information to go there and to that it's flammable and that it's a perfect trap? And, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the thing that they mix in there and they weave to where it's like, well, yeah, exactly. How would she know? But I mean, in reality,
her mom the whole time is like, you need to bring him to me. And so she finds her actual like mass grave, and it's actually the perfect trap for the main villain. Like, it's just, it's a hell of a coincidence if she was imagining that, you know, not after the fact, but during.
And it could be after the fact for all we know. And it's, you know,
we don't know.
This is her projecting, you know, on things that have happened to her in the past, and that's how she is able to compartmentalize these horrible things that she's seen and had to do, and that's how she's able to live with them, because she had help, you know, from loved ones that she had lost, and they were guiding her along the way. It's a lot easier to do than just like accidentally falling onto the corpse of your mom, locking a guy in there and like burning him alive. And
it is.
But they do, this film does, actually thinking about it, this film does a great job of like subverting expectations in some way too, and kind of like twisting your mind around that, because my whole first thought too was like, you know, this is a coping mechanism. I still like think it is, but one thing that kind of subverted that a little bit is in the scene where she makes her second wish, where she's like, I wish I didn't have to kill this guy. And you think like she actually did kill the guy, and that's her way of coping with that she murdered somebody.
But she doesn't.
But she doesn't. Yeah, it actually turns out that it was the drug leader, and she just happened to stumble upon a dead body, which is also a traumatic experience for a 8-year-old.
But that validates any like that immediately would have validated a kid's thought. Like if she already saw her ghost mom, she thought, and she's like, I don't know about these wishes, and then she gets there and out of desperation makes a wish, and boom, it in reality came true. She did not have to kill anybody.
Yeah.
And
boom, it's just like it just shows how well this movie, I feel like, is written. Not only are they able to like do those things, but like to subvert those, like, because immediately, of course, I thought like, yes, of course, like she actually did kill the guy, and this is her coping with it. And they're like, oh, actually, no. I'm like, oh, that's just really smart. Like, God, that's just written like fucking really well.
It is. And like to speak more to the writing, like if you were to strip out the supernatural elements and just have it shown like how we imagine it to have actually happened for her, like that it was a coping mechanism, just showing like what she really did and didn't do, I don't think the story changes all that much. The story is the same. And so for a movie that's about like that is interweaving fairy tales with real life trauma and talking about fairy tales as a response to trauma and how people like will do that, like try like on a like Homo sapien brain level, like on the back, like your lizard brain does that shit. Not your lizard brain, but you're like that's like a deep process to sort of compartmentalize or sort of like deal with what's happening around you. Like even adults do that when they see traumatic events. They'll make up what happened instead of dealing with what really happened. It's a common thing. So I mean, I think it's pretty awesome that like if you were to actually strip that out, the story really doesn't change. It's still the same story of learning to survive, but also learning to maintain connection with what makes you human in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's fucking smart. It's a smart movie.
Yeah.
And it's goddamn depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It deals with the fact of like, even watching that video, like you see like, the girl, she's going around, she's looking for her mom, and you watch this video and it turns out like, oh, there's her mom and she gets murdered by the thing. I mean, like the stuff that you deal with in this movie, like they have kids in cages and these kids are living on a rooftop and they're literally being hunted, and you watch their parents get murdered, and then you watch them like killing kids. Like we've talked about that before. Like, what's the worst thing on screen? Like killing kids, killing animals, killing people or whatever. It's like killing kids is like,
it's pretty up there, man.
Number one.
Yeah, it's up there.
Having kids in cages, watching like a 4-year-old get shot like in the belly, and then watch his like 7-year-old friends have to like bury him in a watery grave. It's like, that is like some of the darkest shit you can put onto screen. But the fact that they're able to do that, and it is bleak as shit, but it's not in the same kind of way that like some torture porn shit is,
they're
where
not
like people are
just
trying
trying
to
to
get
shock
their eyes
you.
bulged.
It's in service to
Yeah.
a code or an ethical line that they're towing.
Yeah.
It's in service to the story instead of just a consequence that will allow some vicarious goose pimples.
Yeah. And it's somewhat based in reality too. So it's not like they're just like, check out this fucked up shit, right? It's done with tact.
It's not
and
spectacle.
love, and it's somewhat
Hostel
based
is
in reality.
real, Bob.
Oh man.
Soul has taught you some things.
They're not rounding us up.
Save that for another show.
Oh, Jesus.
If you don't think.
Conspiracy stains over here. I'm gonna start just spouting some wild shit.
Start? You're just starting?
This is the beginning of that, apparently.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to hear this. Yeah, I was gonna say, any other points you guys want to touch on? I know this is kind of like a layered movie. There's a lot going on.
I just want to again say that these kid actors, like Shine and Estrella especially, are like the two leads are just great. Like I don't know. They had I've been seeing recently, like people have been casting kids and getting really subtle performances out of them. And this is one of those movies that does that. They have these are kids that are acting, their characters are traumatized and they have to act that way. Like, what does a kid know about what trauma does unless they've had trauma, or like they have to access something, or they have to be able to pretend just so well, and they fucking nail it. For my money, that's like the strongest part of the movie is the kid actors.
Do you have any trivia?
Yeah,
that,
Shine specifically.
Yeah. What's that?
Do you have any trivia on that with the kids, regarding the kids casting them?
Not really. No.
I saw something briefly. I forget the exact number, but it was something like they auditioned like several hundred children before they found.
The few I did see that
they actually cast. So like they definitely. I mean, they found some great kid actors. They really, whoever did cast this movie did a phenomenal job.
Over 600 children were considered.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. How long does that take?
I don't know, but I remember
also to remember, okay, number 2 is pretty good. Like,
that's they have to do. I wonder how many rounds of auditions they had to have.
Yeah.
I was but the same thing with Let the Right Thing In, that had the same sort of thing where they had a year-long audition process to get those two kids, let the right one in.
Crazy.
So, and they got great performances out of those kids. It's just wild, man. Like, I honestly, like, if you had asked me, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, if, we would be like the kid actors would be coming up in this way and being this good on like sort of more standard basis, I wouldn't have believed it, because it's like real easy to just find a kid that wants to be on camera, or a mom who wants their kid to be on camera and just let them go and say, that's my bull puppy, or whatever. And that's it, whatever it is
that kid?
It doesn't matter. It's Cujo as imagined by me.
Is that Beethoven 2?
Yeah, Electric it's Beethoven 2, Cujo's Revenge.
Oh my God, I used to love Beethoven. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Charles Grodin, baby. No, I'm just saying, like, these aren't serial commercial actors, man. They just aren't. These are good fucking actors.
Anything else, boys, before we go ahead and rate this thing?
Not for
Good.
me.
No.
All right, then. Juice, I'm going to let you start. Out of 5,
Whoa.
how you feel about Tigers Are Not Afraid?
We should let you start, Bob. You never start.
That's true.
You always
Nice
just
dodge.
piggyback off of our reviews, Bob. That's the whole thing. That's
I already
the
have my number
secret.
written down, man. It's not changing. Go ahead.
This is a really well crafted movie, and just through multiple avenues. Like the acting is good, the story is well written, the designs are great. Like for the special effects and man, just kind of handling a bunch of different elements. They do a good job. I don't really have a lot of critiques of this movie, but I don't feel like I'm just absolutely in love with it. And I don't know why, because I honestly can't think of much like negative to say. If I could say anything negative about it, I guess, is even like trying to recap this film and kind of pick apart all its layers. It tries to do a lot. It tries to do a lot of things to the point to where and I don't even think it looks that bad, honestly. Not in the same way that like the gingerbread cookies look bad and like Krampus and like why the hell do they do the CGI? But like the little tiger. It's like why did they need the tiger when her like dead mother was already kind of guiding her? You know, like you have these like several different like guiding elements. Like, oh, at one point like a dragon comes out of the phone, and I'm like, why the hell is there a dragon? And it like leads her to like a bus station.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Like a little tiger that like leads her to like some dead bodies or how to and gives her a lighter, and then her mom is also. So it's like we said, you could literally scrap all of the CG and it would have the same effect. So like, why the hell do you need like 3 or 4 or 5 different like CG guides like guiding you around?
It's supposed to be a fairy tale, right? I don't know why it has to be a dragon specifically, but it's supposed to be a fairy tale. It's what they're going for.
I think it's just showing her increasingly dependent on that way of processing things.
Yeah, I guess
to the point where she's walking into a field.
I guess it got to a point where it felt more and more cluttered. If anything, you know, like not only do you have this graffiti moving, but you also have this blood trail, and you also have these dead people and the dead mom and the birds flying and the dragon coming out of the phone. And some of it doesn't even like relate to like the way that the dragon looks. Doesn't like look or really fit in the same kind of aesthetic as the way like the tiger looks. Like, you know, the tiger is more like almost like Winnie the Pooh, like animated. I don't know. But even that, like, even it still looked fine, and honestly didn't bother me in the scope of the movie. But when I was trying to pick it apart, I was thinking about all these things, and I was like, yeah, it was maybe a little cluttered, but still, I mean, I don't know. But I'm still not like absolutely in love with it, but it is really good. It was well done. I guess I'll end it like 4.5 is definitely fair for this movie.
4.5. Randy, what do you think about Tigers Are Not Afraid?
I'm pretty much in the same camp. I don't like even that nitpick that Justin brought to the table. Like, I know he doesn't put a lot of stock in that, but I don't see that even as much as he does probably. But there is something about like, I don't give a 5-star unless it hits a very specific pleasure point for me. So, and this movie is like great in so many ways, but that last half a point is really more like an X factor thing that you can't really pin down.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a 4.5 as well. I would hold it in regard as I know it didn't come out this year officially, but like for my top movies of the year, it'll probably be pretty high on my list. I mean, it's smartly written. It's incredibly acted. It's like the effects are great. It's got like you're scared when you're supposed to be scared. You're traumatized when you're supposed to be traumatized. Like everything works as it should and functions properly and creates a really compelling story. And I don't know, there's not really much to add besides that. It's just fucking strong storytelling, and it's goddamn heartbreaking that this is based on a real scenario for kids on some level. Like it's hard to grapple with. Like there's that gut punch, a reality check that comes with this movie too. So I mean, it's got a lot going for it, and I gotta give it a 4.5 at least. I mean, maybe tomorrow I'll feel 5, but for now it's a 4.5.
Gotcha. Bob feels 5 on this. I'm giving this one a 5.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Whoa,
feeling
Bob, guys.
5.
I don't really have much of a complaint for anything in this movie. I don't know like what to say negative about it. I think it would be very easy to make this movie in poor taste. I could see that happening really easily.
Yeah.
They don't even come close to doing that. I think they kind of knock it out of the park, to be honest. I think it's just like a beautifully told story, and it's about like some of the worst shit. You know, it's hard to do that. I think they do it really well, though. I like the imagery they play with. The kids are just phenomenal in this movie. It's well written. It's good. It's a beautiful movie. 5 stars from your boy.
5.
Oh, Bob is feeling 5 today.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Bob is
that's German macho man. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
Snap and twist, Slim Jim. Ooh, yeah.
I love that shit. Oh, man. Let's go ahead and get into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Certified fresh.
I like how they say tigers in Spanish. It's like tigres
El
or
Tigres.
something.
Yeah. Juice, take it away.
All right, Rob, you got the German accent. Don't try to do a fake Spanish accent as well.
I wasn't.
Good Lord.
We got enough enemies on this planet.
Let's go ahead and get into our Rotten Tomatoes segment for Tigers Are Not Afraid. Total count for the critics, 95. So actually pretty solid sample size. I know now this is like a Shudder exclusive or whatever, but so I'm not sure if they reviewed it when it came out in the festivals, or a lot of people just have Shudder now. I don't know. But either way, 95 count from the critics. Let's go around the table. Let's see if you boys can guess what the score is. Randy, kick us off. What do you think for Tigers Are Not Afraid?
I'm pretty sure this is a critical darling. I'm going to put it at the 95.
95. Robert.
Yeah, I would have to say it's going to be on the higher end. I'm going to go with an 88.
88. This movie is certified fresh. It is a whopping 97%. Randy is going to take it. Wow. Yes. Very, 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 very high. Critic consensus is Tigers Are Not Afraid draws on childhood trauma for a story that blends magical fantasy and hard-hitting realism and leaves a lingering impact. Good job.
Yep,
good job.
That's appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. 97%. Well, it's good. It's good.
Real good.
Audience user rating is 133 people have rated this movie. Again, I don't know how you would be able to rate this movie if you don't have a movie ticket or whatever. I don't know. They're
Well, it came out in 2017. Just not here.
Okay. So, all right. So very, very small sample size on the user rating. Rob, why don't you kick us off? What?
A junior Western bacon cheese. Junior. The way you said small reminded me of that Tenacious D stuff. I don't know why. I don't know. My brain does weird things.
Did somebody put Rob on random?
It's so random. I think it's going to be lower than the critics, but still pretty high.
Yes, apparently.
I'm going to go with an 84.
84. All right. Randy.
I'll pull it up to a 90.
90. Randy's going to sweep the board. Bob, you suck. 95%. I know. So high all around.
It does suck to suck. So I'm told.
Randy Stains going to sweep the board today.
Yes, Randy
Yeah, so it's
is
just
going to sweep
that
the
your coping
board.
mechanism is faux German. That's
We're
fine.
having a Randy victory today. Yeah. Ooh.
It's not just German. There's like sexual deviant cooter German happening over here.
Hey,
Especially with the eyebrows. Rob
Oh,
gets
yeah.
wild with the eyebrows.
There's a
character's
lot
got
of
layers.
eyebrow popping.
YouTube
Yeah.
exclusive. Rob's all brows.
Top-
One of those
and
layers
locking.
is a Speedo.
Ooh.
So yeah, everybody loves this movie, including the Straight Chilling crew. We are men of the people today.
Mm-hmm. True. Randy,
I was looking at like top critic reviews, but it's all just like this is amazing. This is amazing.
yeah.
I don't see a negative. There's no negative review. Obviously, if it's a 97, there's like at least one, some troll probably, but
Yeah.
I can't see it, so I don't know.
Fuck them then. Can't see them, can't be heard.
Fuck 'em.
Damn.
Cool. Randy, you have some trivia for this or nah?
No, man, we covered that.
You said
Shaming?
You said some, so okay. Well,
I said I only found a little, but it's not enough to really go with.
okay. All right then. We'll
It's
just move
very
right along.
uninteresting trivia.
Okay, here we go again.
We're gonna talk about some cooters. Yeah, we are. Who do we got? Who do we
Cooter
got?
of the week.
Maybe El Chino cooter-ish. I mean,
Giant.
I feel like
Piece of
like
shit.
the guy, the brother who's shot in his apartment, he like comes off as maybe more of a cooter through this movie.
Well, the
yeah.
human trafficking has something to say about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got kids in a cage. Also, like there's some aspect I feel like of the maybe attire mixed in with the smug like self-importance is like just like the way his gun is designed, the way he was like you guys are talking about like completely dropping trow to like take a leak. Like he struts around town like he's hot shit, you know, which I mean everybody like literally the cops are scared of his boss and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the smug self-importance kind of goes along with that. Even to the fact to where the reason that he is killed is because he's so arrogant. He films his boss like torturing and murdering a woman on his phone as like a joke. Like, ha ha ha, I got your ass.
Well, I think
or
he's
whatever.
planning on
It's like,
blackmailing him, not like as
Yeah.
a ha-ha joke.
well, but the way he looks at his phone at the end of the video, like to
Oh.
show he's like got this like smug ass like smile or
That's a
whatever.
good point. I
It's like,
forgot about that.
Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
bit of
it's
it.
like what the fuck? Because the guy sees him. He's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
are you recording me?" And he like gives this smug smile, and like he's not murdered on the spot. It's not like he's running away or anything. It's like
Yeah.
he's at the job or whatever. So
Yeah.
he's definitely got this like smug self-importance. There's
Tries to be
I mean,
manipulative, I guess.
trafficking. So there's definitely got to be some sexual deviancy, but in the movie, it never shows him.
Yeah, we don't
like,
see any of that.
We don't know. Like, I mean, I guess this is like we got to decide where the line is drawn, whether or not like just participating in human trafficking is sexual deviancy, or if sexual deviancy is something that you actively do sexually. Because we don't know that he doesn't, but
yeah.
Yeah, we don't. But also, too, not like the human trafficking. One of the things the kids say is like, oh, they cut people up and they sell their parts off. Which a lot of thing with like human
my
trafficking,
God.
especially with kids, is like taking organs.
oh my god,
It's not necessarily sexual.
This is actually
I
news
guess.
to me. I didn't even. That's
Oh, really?
crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. A big thing with like human trafficking is not always just sexual. It literally is like harvesting like body.
I make jokes about that, but I didn't really ever think that was like a, you wake up in a bathtub full of eyes, with kidneys missing or whatever. Like,
Well, sure, but yeah.
I make a
sad.
joke.
Rob,
now.
Rob
Pave
with the
over it, but
jokes.
just-
That's
just
why you come to
fucking
straight
drive that
Very
Zeppelin
funny.
right into the ground, buddy.
Ooh, yeah, so very
Rob, maybe
funny.
Rob's cooter of the week.
The straight
Hail
chilling
Hydra,
crew
bub.
are the kutas.
But Bob's cooter. Bob with
I don't accept that.
God
I don't
damn,
accept
so
that.
heavy.
No, I think I don't know, maybe just like El Chino or like the whole squad, the whole squad, because they're all in it together.
Yeah, I would go with Coco or whatever. I don't just because we see more of it. He seems to be more like Chino is like the ominous, especially because he's like the politician. So you see his posters and his like commercials on TV. But I mean, he really is just kind of like running an operation. Like he's killing people and stuff. But like Chino like Coco or whatever, he feels like a cooter. He's like the right-hand cooter man.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like a ghost. There's a ghost cooter point. I think that maybe we're missing, and that's like, I don't know. He's like leading a criminal enterprise, and he does horrible things that way. But he's not Jeremiah Sand. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not also pathetic in a lot of ways.
Yeah. He's just a bad person, but cooter. So, like Bob said, you gotta have the vibe a little bit.
I guess Coco or oh god, I'm so sorry. That guy.
Call him Coco.
Is probably the closest to what
try it in German.
Would call. No,
don't try it in German.
I just can't. Probably
make sure you do the brows though.
I don't even know that I'm doing that. I didn't know I was doing that until you mentioned it.
Watch the YouTube exclusive, Bob, and you can see.
Ooh, yeah.
You got fucking Silent Night, Deadly Night eyebrows tonight.
Part 2.
It's only when you do the accent, though. It's like your whole persona.
It's a mugging the camera moment.
I gotta
check it out on YouTube.
I'm a character actor, all right? Can't help it. Let's get into a little bit of horror news. Let's do it.
Extra, read all about it.
All right, ladies and gents, we got some news. We got some sad news today, actually. The first thing we got to talk about is we got to pour one out for the late, great Sid Haig, who officially passed away this week. We don't have definitive details. Apparently, he had an accident, and he was in the ICU for a while. And that's about all we know. But he was 80 years old. Wow. And if you're unfamiliar with Sid Haig, I feel like if you're listening to the show, you're not. But if you are, he's been in like over 150 features or projects, which is an incredible number. But he was in a Spider Baby, or The Maddest Story Ever Told. Also, probably most famously, House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. He did have a minor cameo in 3 from Hell, which I haven't seen yet. But the reason he wasn't a bigger player in that movie is because he had fallen ill. But he was also in Galaxy of Terror, Kill Bill Volume 2, Night of the Living Dead 3D, Rob Zombie's Halloween, Dark Moon Rising, Lords of Salem, Hatchet 3, Death House, Bone Tomahawk, etc., etc. He's been in a ton of movies, so let's pour it out for him and remember him fondly, and he will definitely be missed.
Yeah. Good work, Sid.
He also was pretty active in regards to like going to horror conventions and stuff like that. So he
was a community darling for sure. So
yeah, definitely.
He will be missed for sure.
Yes, absolutely. We also, in other news, we watched a trailer for a documentary that's going to be coming out about Mark Patton, who was the lead in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. The documentary is going to be called Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
This has been in development for a while. We've talked about this before, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe, I feel like, too, he was talking about it when we saw him at Sunray, right? He was talking about it being developed.
Documentaries are a long process.
I wanted to mention that. So this whole project was actually kickstarted by Sam Farmer, who's a local filmmaker.
It was. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we... I forget what year it was, but there's a convention in town called Collective Con that happens annually, and it was a few years ago where they had Mark Patton come in, and they showed a screening of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and then he did a Q&A afterwards at a local theater, and that him being in town for that, I think, kind of kickstarted this documentary. Sam and his wife Karina, they're local filmmakers. They kind of started talking to him about making this documentary, and I think they eventually handed it over to whoever eventually finished it.
That's right. From our interview with Sam, he was talking about it.
Right.
That's where I knew it from.
Right. So now it's having its premiere at Fantastic Fest, and I don't know when it's going to get a wider release. This seems like a prime doc for like Shudder to pick up, and I hope they do, or maybe Netflix or something, to where a lot of eyes can get on it. There's a trailer out. I don't know. Apparently, if you don't know much about Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, it's a relatively, I guess, queer movie. I think that's like the preferred nomenclature to call this a queer movie. I'm trying to offend as few people
Oh
as
man, I can
possible.
hear the gears burning.
I know.
Well, just the trailer in general is just like the gay perspective on like
Right.
horror, and like how it's kind of like triumphed is like spotlighting, I guess, that, or like they're like the Scream Queen and having, the first like gay like Scream man, like Scream Queen or whatever.
And specifically for him, it's like just it seems like he had a real rough go of it when the movie came
in the
out
80s.
in the 80s when obviously things were not so kosher with the homosexual community.
There's a bit of a controversy here between Mark Patton and the director. So the movie, when you watch it, definitely has some like homoerotic tones going on. And Mark Patton was, and I mean, he is a gay man. He's out now, but at the time when this movie came out, he wasn't. So I don't know. The director's like, I guess, totally not owning up to the fact that this movie is very much like a gay movie. But it just
didn't they have what was it like where they had some shit like highlighted on like the script? I watched it real quick, like the trailer or whatever.
The writer was like on
was that what it was? The writer was like, yeah, I definitely wrote it.
It wasn't in the trailer,
I don't know,
but
maybe
he did though. And in that Never Sleep Again documentary, he talks about it, and they're like, yeah, I meant for it to have gay subtext because I was gay.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that like it was a few years I watched it, but he's like, yeah, I mean it. But the way that they like portrayed it on film was way gayer than I thought I was actually writing it.
I don't know. It's an interesting piece, and I'm excited to get more context and background. And like, unfortunately, it seems as though this movie had a pretty negative impact on Mark Patton's acting career. He wanted to continue acting, and I think this sort of kind of blackballed him. Unfortunately, being that it was released when it was, and he was perceived as being a gay actor, even though he wasn't out. I think it had a negative impact on his career, which is a super bummer, but I'm glad that he kind of is able to tell his story now. And I'm excited to see this documentary and kind of get the full background on everything. It's interesting. It's an interesting story, man. It's like a bizarre story, but I don't know. I'm intrigued by it.
It's interesting to see like how it's perceived now, or how it's triumphed like now, like like in the community,
right?
But it's
this
kind of
is our movie. This was like our moment, especially like from the 80s, because you can make movies now, that include like that community more, or like aspects of that, or with that drive. But like to have it like in like I want to say like accidental, even though it wasn't, like, especially with the writer coming out and saying, it's just like this thing coming out, and like people like to know, like, oh shit, like, yeah, that's especially the direct sequel, like, Nightmare on Elm Street was such a big thing, like back in the 80s or whatever. And so like the direct sequel to come out and be like, oh shit, like what? This is a gay movie.
And it did not get like a great reaction from people at the time. So like, it's weird. It's like, it's gotta be weird for him to have like had his like life sort of altered by this movie that people hated. And now turns out people were loving it. They just like were loving it for reasons that they weren't allowed to talk about.
That would be weird, from his aspect, because like, God, you've been through so much shit and so much pain of it, and so it's got to feel like good now, but like that doesn't go away,
Right?
It's,
like
you
still had those years,
in your whole life. So I'm glad like you get some sort of like positive
consolation prize, maybe.
But still, it's like for most of your life you've been dealing with the negative aspect of it.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I look forward to
Looks
seeing
good.
it.
Looks
as well.
interesting.
The last bit of news I have here, I didn't even know this, man, but apparently they're making another Batman movie.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah.
Somebody still wants to make a Batman movie.
Like
What?
the Batman? You're
Yeah,
talking
it's
about
called The
Batman?
Bat. I didn't know about this. I'm late to the game on this. Robert
All right.
Pattinson's Bruce Wayne. Apparently,
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright is in talks to play Commissioner Gordon currently. And the movie's going to be released June 25th, 2021. So that's.
I mean, I think it's.
Why are you
it should
bringing
just-
that up in horror news?
It should just be a foregone conclusion that they're gonna like. If
Yeah.
there's always a Batman movie in production. The Joker's coming out, but it's still
Yeah.
a Batman movie.
You're right.
This was the movie that Ben Affleck was going to like write and direct
Oh,
when,
okay.
Probably.
when
Yeah.
he first signed on. But since that all like just is so yeah, I mean it's been on the books for like a hot minute now.
Gotcha.
But that's just kind of what it's evolved into. But yeah. We never, I mean, if we're talking about that stuff, we never talked about like that Joker trailer and the fact that everyone's praising it and it looks like a modern day, like, whatever, but we don't have to. Bob's got this like sheepish look on his face.
Hey, man, you want to pick the news? Have at it.
You're the one. I don't know why the hell you're talking about Batman. Like, why was that even on the radar?
Why not? Why not?
All right.
I got some news. I got this big boil on my ass. You guys want to take a look?
Oh, right.
Bob's been talking in this weird random accent today. Is that news, Bob?
It is now.
What are we covering now?
Fucking
all
Hollywood.
right, let's move along. So we got a couple voicemails this week. We gotta listen to. If you want to contact us and leave us a voicemail to be featured on the show, you can hit us up at 904-638-3231. First up, we got our boy Hydraberg calling in. I'm not playing this whole message, but I'm gonna play a few seconds of it because he's just straight trolling us. That's all this is. And you sick son of a bitch. Here we go. Let's hear what Hydraberg has to say. All right, that's enough of that. So that's
That went a lot longer than I thought.
Oh, it's long.
yeah, it's pretty
Well,
long.
no, I meant Bob.
Oh.
How much Bob played?
So
I think that needs a lot of context.
it does. We talked about a movie called Curse of the Cannibal Confederates last week, and that movie's one
It
of the
was
worst
good.
movies. One of the worst movies we've ever seen. And there's like a 10-minute.
Whoa, Bob.
There's like
one
a
of the
10-minute
worst.
scene of just cannibals, or just whatever. People are getting eaten, and that's the sound that is happening.
It sounds like slurping soup. It sounds like that scene in Blazing Saddles where they're all sitting around the campfire eating beans and farting. That's what it sounds like, but it's like 10 minutes long.
Damn, make me want to watch Blazing Saddles.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Also, the speech to text function did manage to pull out a couple words, and
It
those words
did.
are "Ma'am Thursday."
Ma'am Thursday.
Ooh, my
Thank you, Ma'am Thursday.
I'm always confused. I'm like, what is Ma'am Thursday? Oh, shit. Yeah.
Band name called it. We are
Ma'am Thursday.
That's great. Hydraberg, don't do that ever again. Thanks.
Well, you just ensured another
yeah.
week of that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to happen. We got one more voicemail from our boy Dharmic calling in. Let's go ahead and see what he has to say.
Ahoy, hoy, this is your resident Canuck Dharmic. I'm calling to try and break up the 2-on-1 in regards to Bob's physical media habit. I feel like you're being a little hard on your boy here. I mean, where's y'all's jet skis or equivalent? When the zombie apocalypse happens, Bob may very well be the last bastion of entertainment, armed with a Blu-ray player, a generator, and a hut made out of his collection. That's a license to print bottle caps in the post-apocalypse. Just give the boy a break. All right, talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you
Never.
for the support. I love the support.
Never.
We have the official leave him alone.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I mean, if we get to a point in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where we're concerned about maintaining our DVD collections, we might be okay. We might actually
leave him alone.
You know what? You know what might be useful in an apocalypse? Fucking jet ski. Get you the hell off this fucking rock.
I know. If there's like a zombie apocalypse, at least you can escape real quick.
Get to a sandbar.
You cannot go that far on a jet ski.
Apocalypse.
Oh, how would you know, Bob?
Sick burn. Thanks for calling in, Dharmic, and thanks for having my back, dog. I need it.
Rob's a sad DVD bastion.
You guys are just fueling an addict. This is on you.
He's relapsing as we speak.
Oh God, I can see him pre-ordering.
Oh my God. No, get off that Arrow website. No.
Bob, put the credit card down.
No, you don't need another copy of Blood Rage. Put it down.
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah. So that's it. That's it for our voicemails. Again, if you want to call in, you can hit us up at 904-638-3231. And with that, there's only one thing left to do.
Perfect transition.
I know.
Thank you, Darwin.
Justin, take it away.
Let's have an intervention. Let's save a life. Bob's life. Bob, we are full swing spooky season. We are concerned for you. You have a habit of purchasing large amounts of physical media in the form
armfuls
of Blu-rays
of physical media
and 4Ks. We have been tracking your purchases for the past several months now. You have hit double digits every month. You are already at double digits for September. Mm-hmm. Last we left off, you were at 10. Mm-hmm. Bob. Always just Bob hates it. Bob knows.
Uh-huh.
Bob,
something horrible is about to happen.
Bob, will you please tell us what you have purchased in the past week, in the past 7 days, Bob?
Yes.
What
calendar days.
Yes. Here's the stack on YouTube. YouTube exclusive.
Oh my God.
Okay.
It's so big.
Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought.
No, it's not as bad as I thought.
Which is bad because it's almost.
Let it be known that it is 5. It is 5.
It's 5.
Every workday got a DVD this week.
Yeah. That's how Bob copes. It's a rough day.
What's in that stack there, Bob? I saw Godzilla King of Monsters in there.
Yeah, King of Monsters. Yeah. Also, what, Vampire?
Yep. John Carpenter's Vampires. Godzilla King of Monsters, Sorority Babes and the Slime Ball Bolorama, Hollywood Chainsaw
that sounds like
Hookers,
a good one.
And finally, Candy Corn.
I gotta know, do you intend to watch that movie Sans Joe Bob, the Slime Ball Bolorama?
Yes, I do.
What's even the point?
So you've seen this movie before on Joe Bob.
Uh-huh.
You can watch it streaming.
No, you can't.
Oh, is it gone? They don't keep it up?
Shudder, they gain and lose licenses, and unfortunately, like half of that original Joe Bob marathon is gone. You can't watch anymore, which really sucks. I hate that.
That does suck.
But that's just the name of streaming, That's why I buy shit. Yeah, so you can watch it.
Now we're all paying more than we were for cable to get shit taken away from us once a week.
Mm-hmm.
If they would just put Joe Bob out there and then you could sync them up, Bob, you get the 2 DVDs side by side. You get the 2 TVs side by side.
If they did release like the Joe Bob collection on Blu-ray or 4, I would totally buy that. Absolutely.
Bob,
you would.
Yep.
I don't believe you.
I don't know, Bob.
No, let me ask you this, Bob. Are you familiar with On Cinema, At the Cinema, that show?
Yeah, you've shown it to me once or twice.
Are you aware that there is a character in that show that has a VHS film archive?
No, I am unfamiliar.
All right. Well, you're about to get a crash course on that shit. You're about to become fucking Greg Turkington, son of Greg Turkington over here, collecting your physical media, hoarding it for the apocalypse. The Victorville Film Archive lives.
Gregory Turkington.
Anyway,
Bob,
I just want you to know you are literally the thing of comedies now, friend.
That's fine. I'm just living my life, haters.
You're at 15 for the month, so you've already beat out June and August. You're tied with August now, but you have 1 week left. I feel confident that you'll shatter the record that you've established. So
Break
far.
that glass window, Bobby.
What is the record?
Glass
is
ceiling, I mean.
July was 19. So we have a count of 14, 15, 19. You're currently at 15. You have a week left heading into October. I feel confident.
All you gotta do is keep pace, baby. All you gotta do is keep pace.
Also, your face tells me that that's most likely true already.
You're expecting some packages.
It's going to be close. I have some things coming tomorrow. It's going to be close.
Okay.
We'll see. October is going to be a bloodbath.
We'll see next.
I'll be honest.
We'll see next week. We'll see. The whole point too that Dharmic mentioned is will Bob spend more money on Blu-rays this year than the cost of an entire jet?
Man, we went a long way without explaining the concept of this joke.
Yeah, I guess I need that
we
reference.
went all the way through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Bob, I feel confident that you will, but fair's fair. We'll see. We got to track it.
I mean, we don't have to. That's not true. We do not have
We're
to.
committed at this point, Bob. We're committed to saving your life, Bob. What kind of a friend would I be if I did?
How do we save a life? I need to answer that question.
By buying a jet ski? I don't know.
Bob, your addiction has its own theme song.
I'm a dick. Addicted to you, Juice.
Oh.
Mhm.
Throwback.
Okay. Good dodge.
Was
Good
that
dodge.
Simple Plan?
I think so. I don't know.
Sample Plan. It's their first demo.
Sample Plan.
Simple Plan presents a sample plan.
You listen to your favorite band, The Sample Plan?
I love Sample Plan.
The Sample
That's
Plan
what Miss
trio.
Deb would say.
I love my mom. Leave her out of this.
There's a good boy. Loves his mama. Loves DVDs.
And
Not jet skis.
How many theme songs can we get? Please record your own theme songs for Bob's addiction and send them in, please.
Yeah.
We're spiraling out of control now. That's going to do it for us here this week at Straight Chilling. We're going to be back next week with a brand new review. We're going to be talking about the winner of the September poll pick, which is The Craft.
The Craft. The Craft cheese single.
Government Cheese, the movie. Until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. It's a really easy way to support the show. Your ratings and reviews help people find us that don't know we exist. And it only takes a minute or two of your time. We really appreciate it. You can follow us on Twitter at str8_chilling. We are on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website at straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join our Slack channel and talk about the movie of the week, we talk about horror TV, music, video games, all kinds of stuff. Hit us up on one of our social media platforms and let me know. I'll send you a link so you can do that. Play video games with Justin on Twitch. Hit us up on YouTube to watch my stupid eyebrows flail around or whatever.
They're just flailing.
I think that's it. That's all we got to shill this week. Until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
Snap into a Slim Jim. Oh, yeah.